Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Yeah. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
he's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts,
and we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. Welcome back to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2018 Division I College Championships Women's Division action here, and we've got a pre-quarter elimination game. Someone's season's ending after this one. British Columbia taking on the University of California, San Diego. We are already in the midst of the first point of the game. Eleanor Young, one of the star players in the game, with the disc now for UBC. Zone from UC San Diego. We can probably expect to see a lot of zone from both of the teams, even though the wind has died down. But UBC looking to force the disc to the sideline, and UCSD wants to force mistakes like that if they can get them, although that one was saved by Naomi Morsilla.
Something to watch for in this game, fatigue. These teams are both coming off of 4 games of pool play over the course of 2 days. And it is very hot today. It's 88 degrees, and it feels much hotter in the sunshine and especially out on that turf. So that's going to be something to follow throughout the course of this game. Which team looks fresher? That team likely to have an edge as they try to advance to the quarterfinals.
Both of these teams coming off games in the last round. Had a hour-long break between, but tough catch there by Ah Young, and she takes the quick dish over to Brianne Wager for the opening hold for UBC.
Nice offense from UBC, working well against the zone. And it's kind of been a story, and if we kind of zoom out and look at this overall weekend, a bit of surprising perhaps to see UCSD here in a pre-quarter, coming in as a number 2 seed overall at the tournament, coming off of a fantastic season. And they haven't looked as sharp as they did for most of the year, including in their upset win over Stanford in the regional final in the Southwest. And it's just seemed like they've not had a ton of success with just being able to stay fresh, to have the legs. We've watched some of their stars, like Dina Elamelek, look a little bit tired at times. And, of course, they're going to have to be able to grit it out here in a pre-quarter round in probably the hottest time of day. So extra challenge. Maybe that's why we see a little zone from them early. We'll follow that storyline as we go along.
Well, UCSD typically runs a lot of zone. It allows them to save their legs, but also get transition action going for themselves. And they have some strong players who are used to playing that type of defense. But UBC, I just got to watch the entirety of their game against Pittsburgh, and I'm sure we will talk more about it. But there's pretty much all zone throughout that game for both sides. So teams have been electing to play a lot of zone, and here comes UBC on their first zone point. Kelly Omoto in the middle, and a drop there. Not the start you're looking for if you're UC San Diego. Julia Zhang with the disc. Now Naomi Johnson just outside the end zone on that open sideline, trying to get it back into the middle of the field. Nicely denied by the mark, but Zhang goes up the line for the break. UBC strikes first there, up 2-0.
And just a picture-perfect start for UBC. A perfectly clean hold on offense. You back it up with a quick break. Obviously, you get the free mistake from UCSD with the drop, but to then be able to go out, execute with your D-line, punch in a quick score on an up line, you can already see great energy from UBC. And the team out there with the misters, smart in these conditions.
Absolutely. It is boiling, 90 degrees probably out there, and it has been pretty breezy throughout the tournament, especially at this showcase field, and that's kept the on-field temperature feeling a little cooler. But at this point, at this point, the wind is dying down a little bit, and it is starting to get very hot as the sun feels like it's high pointing us despite the time in the sky.
This is a dangerous time for UCSD. Obviously, it's early in the game, but coming off of a tough turnover, giving up the early break, you really want to be able to respond. They will be going downwind on this point. And it's not terribly windy. What did you notice from the wind when you were out there watching in the previous round, Keith?
It felt to me like it's the worst over here, although when we're in the booth, it feels a little bit stronger as we're higher up. However, on the fields, it's manageable. If you throw some swill into it, it's going to be difficult as UC San Diego advances the disc down the field. But now in the hands of Dina Elimelech, we will probably talk more about her, one of the best players in the division this season. But it's not if you have someone who doesn't really have strong fundamentals, it's probably going to take advantage of them. If you throw high throws, soft throws, it could take advantage of you, but certainly manageable as we see another turnover from UBC. So UBC with another break chance. All Young getting the disc. Back in the middle of the field to Naomi Morsilla, and she dishes over to Megan Leong. Leong pumps a big backhand and then puts up the forehand, looking for Cindy Lee, but Elimelech's in the area. She misreads it.
Disastrous for UCSD. A UBC goal on what should be a sure block. And, if you're UCSD, maybe you think about a timeout. Maybe you think about regrouping together on the line. But it's you have to just take a reset after just a terrible first 3 points to the game. And how many times have we watched Dina Elimelech miss in a situation like that on a D?
Rarely. I mean, this looks like a posterizing sky about to happen, but she comes up just an inch or two short because she jumped a little too early. Difficult situation that the Psychos face down in a 3-0 hole. And our live streaming coverage is presented in part by AGW. Their annual Wildwood special is live, so you can still grab some full sublimated tanks for just $27. You want some pockets to go with that? Pair of shorts, $18. Head over to agwultimate.com. Get your order started today. AGW, because it's not worth playing if you don't look boss.
I could use a tank right now. It's very hot, and those Glimmering Wreck tanks are very lightweight. Nice for the summertime.
Yeah, with the breeze having died down in the booth, I suddenly feel like we're in an oven. So the pull goes up from UBC, who's started off with a 3-0 run. They stick with the zone. Much of this unit is kind of is some of their core unit is a nice high throw brought in. Elimelech taking a break after that point, so we see Rebecca Ellis dishing it over to Iwamoto, and Iwamoto's so great at penetrating through the cup. Iwamoto and Leanne Go are just gobbling up yardage. Iwamoto now with the disc goes over to Go.
Matchup defense now from UBC.
And that's what UCSD wants their points to look like. Just cruising down the field with great pace.
Well, that's what they've looked like most of this season. You saw the excellent work through the midfield between their handlers, unafraid to move the disc quickly.
Well,
and that's a great way to bounce back after going down 3-0.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they're kind of like, why weren't we doing that the whole time? I mean, this is a team that plays a lot of zone. I imagine they practice against a lot of zone. They're a handler-driven offense. That sort of quick movement and penetrating throw is the type of thing that they thrive on, even against person defense. So UBC now will be on offense for the first time, and we mentioned that they battled against Pitt in the last round. They dropped that one. They had a 14-11 lead. They actually came back from trailing 8-6 at the half.
got back into the game with a great run of play that showed how talented they are, but unfortunately it all unraveled in the final few moments, and they gave that one away. It was their second loss after we watched them get just ran over by UNC earlier in the tournament. Left them third in Pool C. Pitt wound up winning that pool with the win. They also beat UNC.
And that pool, perhaps a bit of an aberration compared to a lot of the pools, which were not particularly surprising. We've seen a lot of results kind of go to expectations at this year's college championships. Not a lot of upsets. And that means that we get this really surprising matchup here in pre-quarters between two teams that were seated in the top 6.
Morsilla looking to step around for the backhand. Here's Brianne Wager up the line. Morsilla misses her, but Serena Tam gets the read on it. Wager grabbing it. Now the senior surveying the field. Getting into a high stall count. Tries to squeeze one through, and Ella Melik makes the play. Big block.
So good at getting off the ground in a hurry. It's not just that she's tall and length and has a lot of length. She's able to explode into those layout Ds.
She could have her hands full with Caitlin Harper on her, the mark. And that throw knocked away by Morsilla. So Tam initiating play with the swing to Wager. A round throw from Esther Au. And a sky and grab by Eleanor Young, but she pops it up and brought in by her teammate Cindy Lee, bailing Young out there.
Well, besides that last throw, that's pretty good offense from UBC. They look a lot sharper than we saw them earlier against UNC when they got blown out. And, you know, obviously Ella Melik got the layout D. That's not a perfect O point by any means, but they just look crisper on the arounds. And the thing that's kind of plagued them, though, is that they have those one or two weird throws that seem to turn into turnovers, and you kind of end up scratching your head and thinking, why is it that that's happening when they look so good for 85, 90% of the possession?
Yeah, I mean, that point was a microcosm of the UBC experience. Talented players, a deep roster, a bunch of different contributors, and then for whatever reason, it just seems to evade them for a couple of throws a point, and it's always a bit harrowing with them. However, they have established a 4-1 lead. And UC San Diego, like you mentioned, another top seed. And they wound up in this spot after being upset by Texas in pool play. UCSD, a team that looked like a strong bet for semifinals, having a pretty good road to the final. Maybe a team that could challenge Dartmouth. We've all been looking for that. But things have kind of come apart for them during pool play, particularly in that Texas game. But they're still in it.
Zone look again from UBC.
No surprise. They come over to Iwamoto.
And a lot of switching downfield, taking a last back early in that possession.
Now a deep shot from Go. Jump ball situation and a foul call.
With a takeaway. Looks like we have a call, however.
Alexandra Diaz saying that Monica Sue fouled her or perhaps took the disc out of her hand. These two teams have seen each other before, Charlie, and we, in fact, got to watch that game, the final of the Stanford Invite.
Indeed.
And we've got that amazing Ella Melik hand block.
En route to a sizable UCSD win.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that they have a sense of familiarity with each other. UBC knows that this offense is going to run through the handlers. They know who are the throwers. They know that UCSD loves their offhand throws more than any other team, probably in all of college ultimate. They're practically ambidextrous in the backfield. And UCSD knows that UBC, when they need to dial up a play, is going to ISO O Young and Morcilla. They know they like the inside break.
Judas Yo on the mark, coming in on 6.
So Diskin, high release backhand. Jones takes the disc. Now here's Ali Melik, dishes it backwards. Jones again. UCSD approaching the red zone now with Iwamoto, and that is exactly the kind of play Iwamoto brings to this team. You see the kind of shifty pivot, and then she drops that offhand backhand in for the assist.
That's one of the signature throws of this college season. The Iwamoto offhand backhand has been cooking all season long, and she gets that one in for the goal.
That's British Columbia 4, Cal San Diego 2.
And it's not just that she can throw a offhand backhand, it's that she could do it even while not really on balance. She threw 2 quick fakes to set it up. And that's going to move your mark, especially when someone's throwing at a pace that you're not really anticipating. That's just not a throw anybody else in the division is throwing right now with that kind of setup. So you're just not ready for it. It takes reps against it to be prepared as a mark.
Take another look. Throw comes through. Offhand backhand into the end zone. Easy way to get the score.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our Green Line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Ella Melik getting ready to pull for UCSD. The T-Birds on the receiving end with a 4-2 lead.
Once again on the pull.
Al takes the disc and centers up to Serena Tam. Now an around throw from Wager, looking for Harper, but it's just a bit beyond her reach, and now UCSD is going to get a chance at the break. Ali Melik picks it up. Action from the front of the stack, and now forced to go back to the reset space. And Young with the block, but a foul call here.
Like we have a foul called.
Samantha Wool claiming that Young got a piece of her. And Young, watching her match up with Normile in the last round was a treat whenever we got a chance to see it. She got a huge layout block where they both went for the disc, and she was able to make the play, but that was not enough to carry her team to victory. So discussion between Wool, Young, and the Observer continuing.
It looks like that was contested.
We have a contested foul. Going back to Ali Melik, coming in on 6.
And so it will go back and stay with UCSD.
Diving grab to save possession. Sarah Zhang. Now Wool going up the line against Young, and maybe a pick call coming from Young, who thought the upline cut prevented her from being able to get the mark on properly.
And it is going to come back.
There was a pick on the play.
Some choppy play here, given the calls.
No goal as yet.
So Wool tapping in on this near third.
Put it in play.
Open side. And A forced reset, however, is going to make it UBC disc. Straight up the field to Morcilla. Morcilla looking deep. This one blading over. Harper, though, in the space. Drops right into the breadbasket. Harper up ahead for Esther Al, and she goes into the end zone to Cindy Lee for the goal. And after a very near chance to break for San Diego, things turn around quickly, and it's 5-2 UBC.
Great speed from UBC on that point. After they got the disc back on the UCSD turnover, just screaming down the field in flow the whole time. And you saw multiple cutters going deep. One would turn it off, come back underneath, and that gave them the ability to chew up a lot of yards in a hurry. And that one hurts for UCSD because they were right there. They basically had the break in hand. It goes back on the pick, and then they turn it over.
That's a tough pill to swallow if you're UC San Diego. I mean, obviously the difference between a 4-3 game and a 5-2 game is pretty significant, but for it to come on a red zone term and for the other team to rush up the open side the other way, as a coach, it's hard to bear that.
That's just demoralizing. And it's just 1 point, but those are the ones you get so frustrated with, and you have to just stay mentally strong, which I think we've seen from UCSD to start here. It's easy to go down 3-0 and then let that continue into further poor play, but they stabilized, getting a couple scores on the board, but they certainly have work to do.
A 5-2 lead for UBC. The winner of this game will advance to play, well, I'll just say the D word. I don't even know if teams want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, but you can't think about that now as we watch another turnover on a swing pass from UCSD. And these are just not the kinds of mistakes we were seeing for them earlier this year.
No, they were one of the cleanest teams in the division during the regular season. And perhaps the pressure of suddenly being a high seed after, most of these players just played nationals for the first time last year, and they weren't in a lot of big games at that point. But now here they are facing the pressure. Great cut from Leong, set up for Julius Zhang, just gets it over to Siwa, and that goes in for another break, 6-2.
And this is a game where one team is executing better than the other, and that is the difference. We've just watched little miscues from UCSD. The missed swing, Elimelech misses the block, a turf pass in the middle of the field, and those are the kinds of things that have added up to this early lead for UBC.
Yeah, that was a very high-level point from UBC. They take a look again as we see this initial throw. Zhang throwing to that inside shoulder after Leong went to the open side and came back across the front of the stack. And that initial break throw makes it easy to set up a continued throw to the break side. So her teammates may have reaped the reward, Janelle Siwa and Naomi Johnson, with the assist and the goal respectively. But really it was Zhang and Leong who set that up.
Creating that easy score with the hockey assist.
And Leong was even well defended. Alexandra Diaz was covering her and took away the open side with her body. That's what you preach as a coach. But Leong just kind of leans on her, goes the other way, and Zhang with the great timing and throw to space. Hard to defend for anybody. But we've also seen UBC struggle to execute those kinds of difficult high-level plays, and that's the kind of thing that's gotten them to the C3 slot in this bracket to begin with. They were also in a very tough pool. So now UCSD looking for answers in a four-goal hole.
Notice they start in kind of a traditional three-person cup, but then are very flexible. They drop players back. It end up looking more like junk than it does like a traditional zone, and they do a lot of switching downfield.
It looks like they have boxed in one, trying to deny Iwamoto the disc with Tony Lee, but right now Iwamoto taking a lot of short gains, but there are some confusion. Saved, however, by Avery Jones. A lot of small ball from San Diego, but kind of thing they are pretty adept at. Iwamoto going to work with Jasmine Simmons. Now a player goes down, and I believe he'll have a stoppage for an injury.
Get juked on a cut and you fall down, that's bad enough, but to actually get hurt when you fall down, brutal.
It's hot. Bodies have been beat up over the past 2 days. We always talk about nationals and this juxtaposition between, wow, I have so many less games per day, I have all these buys, but every point is so intense that it really wears on you, even if you only play 2 games a day.
And I hope Naomi Marcilla getting helped off the field. You really hope she's not hurt for the long term. It doesn't look too good, though. Maybe tweaked her ankle going down. And it's hard to play on this turf right now. It's hard to play on turf in general, but when it's this hot, I mean, this is not what you expect from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in May. It feels like summer out here.
I mean, we were here Monday and Tuesday, and it was 55 degrees or whatever. But certainly Marcilla would be a big loss for this team. She's one of the stars of this UBC squad. Now in a more traditional person set. Jones with the layout save. She tosses the little offhand backhand. She's got to be the 6th player on this team I've seen throw the offhand backhand.
Well, as it often happens in college, when you have a player with a defining style or throw, it can often trickle to other players on the roster. And Iwamoto perhaps setting the trend as we watch another lefty backhand go in for the goal. And some scary moments on that point for UCSD, but did a nice job of not getting rattled by the unconventional defense there that UBC offered.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because this UCSD team is so comfortable playing in the small window. They're happy to take, tiny little throws in order to gain position and push pace.
Try to keep you updated on some scores from around the other pre-quarters. Lots of close games right now. In the women's division, Tufts and Oregon competing. It's 4-4 in that one. In the men's division, Wisconsin leads Minnesota 4-3. UNC up early on Michigan in the women's division, 4-2. So we'll keep you posted. Of course, you can follow along with everything at ultiworld.com/live.
Michigan, a 5 seed, qualifying for pre-quarters. And you know what? Their Great Lakes partner on the men's division, Northwestern, did the same. How about that? Great Lakes, great times.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was picking those teams into their bracket, but it's been impressive work. And they've had to go through some difficult pools.
Speaking of impressive work, short order score for UBC. All Young finishes it off with the throw that Esther Al for the 7-3 lead for the T-Birds.
And they really just look a lot better than they did against UNC. And, of course that could be the opponent. But I also think it's typical to hear teams talk about how they improve during nationals. The team that arrives here and plays the first game at 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning is different than the team that's playing right now. And that'll be different than the team that compete in the bracket. Often you'll see a team kind of catch fire. They'll start clicking, and they make a run into the bracket. And so it's not always about how you start. It's about how you develop during the tournament, because as much as you want to make practice intense and make regular season tournaments intense, nothing compares to what we see at nationals.
Charlie, I mean, I've already talked to coaches who said, one coach I just spoke to a couple rounds ago said, everybody's a new team at this point in the day. You can't assume about anything about anyone at this point, because teams are getting better, teams are learning things, teams are making late changes. You have to go in and be ready to compete. But got to be impressed with this UBC team. We were concerned that coming off a game that they lost to Pitt, a very close loss, hard fought, extra points, had to play their rotation pretty tight. We were concerned that they might be fatigued, and that's still something to keep an eye on as the game goes on, especially because it didn't feel like that game was – they needed to win that game by like 6 goals or something to get out of the third-place spot in the bracket.
Right.
Pittsburgh needed to – if Pittsburgh won that game, they won the pool, which is what ended up happening. But once it got to be, 10-8 or whatever, I don't know that it's necessarily worth it anymore to keep gassing yourself knowing that you have a pre-quarter ahead of you. It doesn't seem to have slowed down the T-Birds at all.
That's what I was going to say, which is that while I agree with your assessment that you shouldn't be really running your starters really hard, it doesn't appear to be affecting them right now. They have looked fast. Their O-line has looked good. It's been mostly unchallenged. And they seem like the quicker, more energetic team on the field right now.
Travel called as Go tries to step through the cup. You see her trying to use that technique of chiseling from behind, crashing forward, and then stepping between the members of the cup. It looks like UBC is transitioning into matchup, but a drop in the backfield. Ellis giving that one away.
UBC has done a really good job of creating a separation between the handlers and the cutters for UCSD. It's made it really hard for the Psychos to get into any kind of flow, and that's created those turnovers in the backfield.
Jesse Ty getting the disc up ahead to Paige Muir. Muir hits Naomi Johnson on the curl cut. Elimelech in coverage. Bids on the around fake, but Johnson nowhere to go, so she takes the loss of yardage, reset to Wager, and then a confusion between Diaz and Elimelech about who should pick up the mark, who should pick up the cutter, and that blown switch sends us to half, UBC with an 8-3 lead.
And it feels like a very quick half. UBC efficient in their opportunities and getting the towels going as they have a 5-point lead here at the break.
And break being the operative word, they're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to do the same thing after that UBC break. They have an 8-3 lead. We'll be back with you in 10 minutes.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Welcome back to UltiWorld's live coverage of the 2018 Division I College Championships. Women's Division pre-quarter here between British Columbia and University of California, San Diego. UBC jumping out to a big lead with some solid execution in the first half. And back in Zone D, trying to make this San Diego team show that they can execute consistently.
That was a great start for UBC. They go up 3-0. And they kept the train rolling, really just looking sharp on their O points, scoring quickly, trying a lot of different defenses. We saw person, we saw zone, we saw junk, we saw box and one, and built a 5-point lead. But UCSD trying to chip away. They score early with the quick one to get it back to a 4-point game.
One of their best offensive points yet, and Elimelech's first appearance on the scoreboard with the assist, the forehand huck. Drops it in for Leanne Go. And a quick hold.
And UCSD's had, now that's, I would say, their second good-looking offensive point. Other than that, it's been kind of a slog. And now it's going to be up to their defense. And this is when legs really become a big part of it. Can you dig deep? Can you find the energy to go out in this third game of your day after the grind of nationals pool play and find a way to get blocks against a team that's playing very well?
Yeah, and this is a team that has yet to earn a break. And see Elimelech finish off this last one with the forehand huck. And lots of separation for Go, and she just drops it right in her pocket. But there's part of me that thinks that if they can just stay disciplined, UBC will not execute at this level all game. But they also are running out of time. And after a brilliant season, I'm sure UC San Diego will be disappointed to see it end in the pre-quarter round.
I had UCSD pegged to make the final.
You did.
And after, they got blown out by Texas in pool play, as we watch a turnover, so a chance now for UCSD. After watching them get blown out by Texas in pool play, immediately you start thinking, okay, well, what does this mean? We have to completely rethink this team after they had crushed Texas twice during the regular season.
Elimelech puts up another big hanging forehand this time and just slightly misread.
Yeah, great body positioning. Should have been a catch.
And UBC able to earn possession back. Oh, Young just ripping a backhand to the break side. What a throw, and just a little bit beyond Cindy Lee. She kind of does a hesitating layout, didn't commit to it.
If she lays out, she probably makes the catch. And those can be tricky because it's right in between where you want to run it down and catch it without leaving your feet, and when you just know you're going to have to lay out, and by kind of getting caught in the middle, she gets the incompletion. But back to UBC after the UCSD turnover.
Yeah, when you're in the middle, as we see a throw up the outside for the score to Esteral for another hold. When you're in the middle of those two, I'm a big proponent of the slide, the baseball slide. It's kind of like halfway between the layout. It gets you low enough, quick enough to get a disc out of the dirt, but without the time it takes to extend for a full bit.
So despite the turnover, UBC gets the disc back quickly. And that's kind of been the issue for UCSD so far. When they've had their chances, they haven't been able to do much with them. They had the one that they got all the way to the doorstep midway through the first half, and then had a turnover on a swing in the red zone, and immediately UBC went fast break and went all the way to the other end for a score. And so now, trailing by 5, you're going to need 5 breaks in the game, and we haven't really seen them put a lot of pressure on the UBC offense. Obviously, UBC's made some mistakes, but it's not really coming from UCSD pressure as much as it has just been execution errors from UBC.
And that was a great look from San Diego. I mean, they had a real chance there to get back-to-back scores on deep forehands from Elimelech, and I wonder if that's a bit of a tactical change for them, that they're going to try and exploit the deep space a bit more.
Good look. And I think you take that shot again, and you just say, got to catch it this time.
Another call is there's another junk defense from UBC. Just putting a lot of traffic in front of these handlers. Reset to Samantha Wool. Uline Soccer Complex abuzz with pre-quarters. Teams fighting to continue on. Offhand break from Iwamoto. Now Iwamoto gets the reset, and now she puts up the forehand deep but it's hanging and not even going to be in bounds. And the struggles continue for the San Diego offense.
That's a Psycho's turnover. Just coming back upfield. Janelle Seawood to put it in play.
Siwa looking deep from Muir, but Elamelic denies that. Now around. Pick call as Naomi True catches the disc.
Looks like the disc is going to go back.
Disc going back to Julia Zhang. And Zhang, a junior
Coming in on one.
on this UBC team, but has really stepped up into a big role. And I think she's going to be one of the stars of this team coming into next year as a senior. Deep shot going up from Siwa, looking for Paige Muir. Muir gets the read on it, and a great play. UBC adds another break. Siwa to Muir.
Strong throw, strong downfield play,
Janelle Seawood with a deep
tons of energy. This UBC team showed up, not deterred at all by losing a close game to Pittsburgh in the previous round, and they have taken it to UCSD here.
And I love not only the misters, the cold towels. This team looks prepared.
They really do. And you know, it's funny because they're the team coming from a much cooler climate. UCSD, of course, probably doesn't deal with these kinds of conditions. San Diego is this crazy mythical place where it's always 75 degrees and sunny. But obviously a team that's used to warm weather. And I have to say I'm really impressed with the fitness that we're seeing from UBC. They have just been able to continue to grind out hard, fast cuts. And you mentioned earlier it's a really handler-driven team. I would say their cutters have done kind of the best job of all of making it easy for the handlers by getting open consistently on the open side.
Part of that is because of the T-Birds' depth. They really run a full rotation. Sometimes you'll see players come on during key points that have only played 2 or 3 points. They're not afraid to utilize a lot of their roster. They have a bunch of different contributors, and that probably helps keep them fresh through a long, hard, hot tournament. Lienko comes up that open side. And that speedy movement, you can see the pace.
Great work going back to the break side as they crack the cup.
It seems like it must be so tiring for these handlers to do so much work. Iyomoto takes the give and go. Almost throws a turnover, but they're not afraid to play in that small window.
That was almost Dominator the entire field. That was the handler set driving that entire point. And it looks good. You can see they came to the near side and then break the cup, go back across the field into the break side, gaining yards the whole way as they're ahead of the zone defense. But you said it. That's so tiring. You can't continue to do that. You can't ask your handlers to keep going out there and doing that point after point because you can't run 70 yards of Dominator every point. It works in spurts. You can get a great O point out of it, as we just saw, but it's not a sustainable way of playing your offense.
Very difficult to continue on at that pace. Our live streaming coverage is presented in part by A Glimmering Wreck. Guess what? Wildwood is around the corner, as are the litany of great summer tournaments, great ways to play Ultimate. You got to look fly at Summer League as well. Well, AGW's got you covered. Full sublimated tanks available for just $27. You can get shorts, $18. Shorts with pockets, Charlie.
I love the pockets, actually.
Sometimes people have things, and they have to put them in the pockets.
I don't really understand how the whole no pockets trend started for shorts and Ultimate, but personally, like to have pockets.
I think that it's a no pockets came from Big Ultimate, and if you want to find out how you can say no to Big Ultimate, go to agwultimate.com. Get your order started today. There's a $27 full sub tanks and shorts for just $18.
We'll catch up with some scores after this point from the other pre-quarters.
Oh Young comes underneath and gets it, and now she puts up the forehand. It's maybe a little bit late, so Morcilla tries to toe it in. And an injury sub for Jessica Freeman.
Jessica Freeman with that D for Psychos.
Sort of awkwardly went to the ground. Seems to be feeling some pain in her right leg.
Going back to the play itself, Oh-Young pumped the backhand fake and then went to the forehand. And at that point, it was a little late. I think that the general rule of thumb is if you pump fake a throw, you probably can't throw it anymore. But we will resume play with the sub. Dina Elamelik coming onto the field for San Diego. Not a bad sub. You know, it's just one of the best probably 10 players in College Ultimate. But
Just
she'll be matched up with Marcilla.
Exploded onto the scene, and UCSD is going to need her to go off here in the second half if they want to try to claw back into this game.
Absolutely. She's been a little quiet as we see her in a high stall situation, forced to just launch a forehand into the air. But one of her teammates bails her out. Nicely done. And then the continued throw, not as well executed by Stacey Tran.
Tran hesitated. She had the throw. She waited, pump faked, and then short-armed it on the second look. Probably should have just thrown it the first time, even if she didn't get it all the way into the end zone. And another unfortunate turnover for UCSD when they were in a great position to score.
UCSD taking away some of these hucks and forcing UBC to work side to side. As Marcilla and Elamelik do a little dance, take a few steps. But they figure it out quickly, and now the disc is on the far side with Serena Tam. She puts up the backhand looking for Naomi Johnson. Plenty of separation for the big deep threat, and UBC hauls in another one. They lead 11-5.
See Johnson celebrating the score, and it's just another heartbreaker for UCSD. The difference there, just execution on the throw. That's a good backhand, perfectly weighted. It's easy for Johnson. On the other side, UCSD in a fast break situation, get a weird backhand, a little bit short, turn it over.
Johnson in great form right now, 3 goals and an assist to her name. And she's a player who obviously stands out a lot, being 5'11", and playing on one of the top teams in the division. But she's been able to be an impact player for this UBC team for a number of years and has continued to develop and always been kind of a role player for them. But you can see that their role players have the ability to make a big impact.
Take another look at the scoring throw. Backhand goes up, and it's only Johnson.
So Johnson on the score. UBC back out on defense with an 11-5 lead. The winner of this game will advance to play the #1 overall seed.
I did promise some score updates. I'll give them to you now. UNC leading Michigan 8-5. This is women's division. Ella Hansen's got 4 assists and a goal for Oregon. Oregon up 8-6 on Tufts at the half. And in the third pre-quarter, Colorado leading 8-6 over NC State at half.
Couple of turnovers each way. Not the prettiest turnovers for either side. Now UCSD finding some room against the zone. Advancing the disc with short, quick movements, but now a call downfield.
We have a pick called.
If you haven't caught up with what's going on here at the Division I College Championships in Milwaukee, best way to do that is by checking out all the coverage at ultiworld.com/live. And if you're enjoying the coverage we've been bringing to you, basically like nationals in your living room, then check out our subscription drive. You can find out about all the benefits our subscribers receive and support an institution in the Ultimate community that continues to try and bring you projects that make being an Ultimate fan easier and more fun. You can check us out at ultiworld.com/subscribe. And a travel call. There's a little bit of stop and go here. So, Leanne Go directing traffic. So, getting ready to bring it back into play. Looks like UBC's talking about how they're going to try and defend Elimelech coming out of this. And the low throw, Wool's going to call a foul, however, to prevent a potential turnover.
Looks like that one's uncontested. Disc will stay in the hands of
Ty not contesting. Got a piece of the throw before it left the hand, so it will be stall 0.
Jesse Ty on the mark.
Wool looking to get this speedy offense reinitiated. Iwamoto up ahead to Jones.
Lots of handler action still for UCSD.
If Nationals was played as mini, I think UC San Diego would be a heavy favorite.
They're tremendous in the 3-on-3 in the backfield.
Iwamoto working it over to the break side. Tenney over the top. Iwamoto layout grab.
What a sequence from Iwamoto. I mean, she just worked so hard for that point, and then to lay out and finish it off with a great highlight reel score. Awesome work from Iwamoto, and you can see there why she's more than a lefty backhand thrower, just churning down the field to score that one.
That's British Columbia 11, Cal San Diego 6.
But you wonder, again, if these type of points are going to grind down these psycho handlers. So far, not showing any signs of wear and tear or fatigue, but it's hot out there, and they have a long way to go if they want to come back and advance to the quarterfinals.
See Elimelech holding, getting set to pull for the UCSD defense. And quickly, some score updates from the men's division. 10-7, Washington leading UMass. Brown is up 10-6 on Northwestern. Wisconsin leading Minnesota, their regional rival, 8-7 at halftime. And Georgia up at half, 8-5 over Texas.
Texas is surprise qualifier for the pre-quarters, not by seed, but, I mean, who thought a couple weeks ago you'd be talking about Texas as a pre-quarters team? Esther Al up ahead to UBC. I mean, who would have thought that you would talk about these teams as pre-quarters teams? You would have thought they were already in quarterfinals with the bye, but that honor belonging to Dartmouth, Stanford, Pittsburgh, and Texas in the women's division. Johnson takes off. Well defended by Elimelech, and she makes sure by going horizontal, she knows her team's in a hole and needs a spark.
And now they got to do it on offense. They've been able to generate some blocks and some turnovers. But it's been the D-line offense that has struggled. And they're running out of time at 11-6. So a big opportunity and important point here for UCSD.
Things looking a bit stagnant without Go and Iwamoto to drive the bus. But still finding some room. Dropping it off to Ellis, and Ellis's crossfield throw cannot be saved. Good effort there from Madison Tenney, but she can't get it. Oh, Young, wide open Naomi Morsilla, just completely uncontested layup there for Oh Young to Morsilla for 12-6.
Just not much gas left in the tank for the Psychos. And they get the block, and they just don't have much left to go the other direction. And we're seeing tired throws. We're seeing tired mistakes, mental and physical. And UBC more than happy to run after that turnover and get the quick score.
I mean, that is potentially a just backbreaking kind of point. That was a bit damning for their fatigue. I mean, you see it there on that point. And trying to lift your heads back up, trying to fight at this point in a 6-point hole. It's hot. You see your season flashing before your eyes. It takes untold mental strength to battle back in this situation.
There was some discussion before the tournament whether this UC San Diego team was perhaps a little bit overranked at number 2, coming in as a number 2 overall seed, that their play was not necessarily sustainable, that we weren't going to see the same kind of success that we saw in the regular season. And so far that has borne out. And I think it will be interesting to discuss later, tonight and after the tournament about what happened. Of course, there's still time left. They could still make a run, but we've seen them really struggle to get any kind of conversions with their D-line. And for them to get that offense on the turn, they're going to need to stack their lines more. The problem is their O-line handlers are having to do so much work to hold their O points that they may just not have much left to go play defense.
It's kind of surprising to see their fatigue, their endurance being tested at this point in the tournament. I mean, it's a team that's been playing in the hot Southwest, grinding out with a small core. They marched through Stanford, relying on a couple of players. It is not like this is territory untread for the Psychos, but I guess the level of competition at Nationals just so high that it tests teams in ways that no other tournament really does. We all try and find ways to replicate it, to get the reps similar to this, but nothing really quite matches what it's like to be here. Iwamoto matched up by the length of Harper, but just there's no window too small for Iwamoto. If it's wide enough to fit a disc in, Iwamoto's going to throw it in. She must be excellent at any sort of accuracy game like can jam or sticks. I mean, unbelievable accuracy and precision on her throws.
Yeah, I feel like she's gotten better and better over the course of the season. The motor to keep running, go get the disc, make a difficult throw, and keep that going throughout the entire point has made her such an asset. And she'll certainly be in the conversation for an award at the end of the season.
Offensive Player of the Year certainly seems like it might fit the bill. And you know what, Charlie? Outside of Elimelech, the core of this team, Iwamoto, Wool, Rebecca Ellis, Avery Jones, Leanne Go, all of those players are returning in 2019. Iwamoto going to work with Elimelech. And you can just see that triangle motion, trying to force you to pick your options. And here, UBC does pick their option, and I don't know if they chose the correct one because Elimelech goes up to grab an open catch. Looked like a strip from here.
Agreed. I think she had that disc caught, and it got knocked out of her hand after she stopped the rotation. And they will discuss it and perhaps ask for a ruling from the observer. But she clearly got to the disc first.
So we'll see what the resolution is here. I find that these strip calls often are resolved pretty quickly if someone's going to contest or no. But a lot of bodies in the area. The throw lacked the precision that we just complimented Kelly Iwamoto for utilizing.
And it is ruled a score by the observer.
So that'll make it 12-7 and keep some hope.
Coverage continues tomorrow on Ulti World. 8 a.m. Central Time, quarterfinal in the men's division. If you're a subscriber, you'll have the chance to vote on which game we will do. Make sure you watch your inbox because we have to make a selection fairly quickly after the end of this pre-quarter round.
And if you're not a subscriber, hurry up. You still have a chance. You have
your voice can be heard.
You have 30 minutes to influence which quarterfinal is going to be streamed.
That's right. It's very easy to subscribe. Just go to ultiworld.com/subscribe. We're in the middle of our membership drive, and we certainly appreciate your support. And after the quarterfinals rounds that kick off at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, coverage heads over to ESPN, where the semifinals will be streamed all day tomorrow. It'll be Evan Lepler, Ian Toner, and Megan Tormey on the call. And then the finals will be not only streamed on watchespn.com, but also shown live on ESPNU in your cable subscription. So tune in for those games as well as the college championships continue here from Milwaukee.
Eleanor Young just made a unreal move downfield, completely leaving her defender in her wake, but too many bodies in front of the thrower for them to get it to her. And then they try and force it to her for a turnover.
And I think if there's something to take away from this game for UBC, it's that they still need to work on cleaning up their O points. They've had a fair number of turnovers, and they just haven't been punished for them at all by UCSD.
Deep throw going up from Rebecca Ellis, but two players in the area, and Julia Zhang gets it back with the block.
Good heads-up play by Zhang, coming off the back of the stack to play help defense, making it a double coverage situation for the Thunderbirds, and they get the easy block.
So that burst break continues to elude this UCSD team. Deep throw to All Young, blocked by Iwamoto.
Thunderbirds turnover. Iwamoto might have gotten a piece of that.
Now bodies hit the ground.
Little contact down there at the disc.
So Oh Young and Iwamoto talking it out. And now we are back underway. Here's Elamelik. Pumps the forehand and puts up the big backhand, but it hangs. And Naomi Morsilla gets the coverage block.
And UCSD has really struggled in the deep game. They have not completed much of anything 25 yards or further. And that's been an important part of their game and what helped make them successful this season. And UBC clearly very prepared for the matchup.
And, I mean, they learned a lot of lessons from that Stanford Invite matchup. And maybe not the best time after that turnover to ask you, Charlie, but tomorrow we'll find out who are the Callahan winners in both the men's and the women's divisions. It's a wide open, deep target for Tam, although I think this may get called back on a violation or pick.
We do have a call back at the throw.
But I was going to ask you, were you surprised when the finalists were announced to not see Dina Elamelik's name among them?
Well, not necessarily, and here's why. She was not somebody that before this season anybody was talking about. And while she certainly had a fantastic year, one of the best regular seasons of any player in the division, her Callahan video is also not particularly inspiring compared to some of the others. And I think that combination of maybe lacking a little bit of name recognition, also playing in a part of the country where there are fewer schools and fewer people to know who you are, can make it difficult to pick up votes. Because a lot of people, I think, do get heavily influenced by the Callahan videos that come out. And it's not like we don't see other West Coast players, but, you know, you look at some of the players who are made the top five, you know, Jacqueline Wynn from Cal, not even at this tournament, but a name that people know, a really cool video, and I think that influences a lot of the vote.
Yeah, Elimelech, not a high profile because it hasn't played with any of the international teams or the U.S. representative teams. Hasn't played at club nationals, played with 7 figures in the mixed club division. Not an all-star, not even someone we were talking about last year to help build their profile. Not true of a player like Jacqueline Nguyen. Years with Nightlock have helped raise her profile over the years. So it's in a literal sense a popularity contest. It's a deep shot going on for Julia Zhang. She gives chase, but can't catch up to it.
A little too long on that deep look for T-Birds. Just going over to Psychos on the turnover.
But even if this result doesn't change for UC San Diego, they'll have a lot to be proud of this year, and Elimelech will be a name people will know moving forward.
Oh, absolutely.
another Iwamoto series of fakes to set up go, and now Ellis swinging around to Tenney. And you see that it's not just the handlers that are comfortable with the way this offense is run. Everybody's willing to come back in the backfield and throw offhand backhands as necessary. Although not nearly as effective without the quickness and experience. Elimelech now on the open side. Iwamoto finds a sliver of room. Around throw for Tran. Iwamoto just continues to grind. There got to be few players in the division anybody wants to guard less.
She is nonstop out there.
Elimelech gets it and steps out to throw the around backhand, and some contact between her and Young. So an uncontested foul here. Red zone opportunity for San Diego. Elimelech. Bobbled catch. But now into the end zone to finish it off. Ellis gets the grab.
Big grinded out point there from UCSD. And that is their first break of the game.
Hard to say because there was a lengthy point with a lot of change of possession. It's almost easy to forget who started with the disc, but that's going to bring it to 12-8. So life yet in this Psycho team. And considering we just watched UBC blow a 3-goal lead late in the game against Pitt, 4-goal lead, not safe.
Absolutely not. I think there's clearly time left for UCSD to make a run. And that's really the first time we've watched them march it up methodically and put it into the end zone. We saw them in the first half have a couple of red zone chances. They don't come up with it. They've hucked a lot in the second half trying to get a quick attack score, and that hasn't worked. They've really struggled with the deep game. But there, they work through the handlers. And you see who's on the field? Iwamoto. She changes everything for their offense because she's there for a free reset whenever they need it, and she can go upfield and create yardage gaining opportunities as well. When she hasn't been out there, they've had almost no D-line offense. But at that point, she crosses over, and they go out and they get their first break.
So now an opportunity for San Diego to add to their run. Elimelech with the pull. Siwa back to field it. And the centering pass blocked. And immediately into the end zone. Welcome back, UC San Diego.
Wow. And just like that, it's a 3-point game. And this is where UBC now is going to feel some pressure. They have yet to feel any kind of pressure in the game. They started out with the early couple of breaks. They go up 3-0. And it's really been smooth sailing for them for the rest of the game. Their offensive points have generally been pretty quick. When they have turned it over, they've gotten it back and scored quickly in transition. And now back-to-back breaks. And this is where mentally you get tested. While they may look like the more physically quick team right now, things change when it's late in an elimination game. And when you're feeling some pressure as we have a timeout on the field. See the Psychos. It's been a while now, but I feel like my college team was a little ahead of the trend on getting team reversibles. We at NYU had the black and white reversibles with the purple screen printing. Probably a little heavier, though, than what you want, and those disc store ones look a lot nicer.
Maybe you and your alum buddies should run it back and buy a set for kind of like a throwback deal.
You know, I have a couple of extras at home, and I think a lucky Ultiworld subscriber someday for a prize is going to maybe get a vintage NYU Purple Haze jersey.
Maybe one of the winners of the game.
Perhaps.
Maybe somebody who owns the Pittsburgh men and women who both won their pools, or NC State.
You're seeing UC San Diego poaching the lanes. Starting to put a little more pressure, take away the flow from UBC. A foul now as Marcilla gets knocked down.
And a nice layout grab from Brianne Wager. She has been tearing it up for UBC this weekend, but has had a quiet game here. She dishes it off to Serena Tam in the red zone. And just a beautiful inside break from the lefty. Spies up Cindy Lee and drops it on her doorstep.
Good vision to find that break side space and that open backhand lane. And that's what you want if you're UBC and the coaching staff in particular. You want your players to respond. They play through a point in which they really don't get into comfortable flow, and they get a well-deserved hold because of it.
So now able to stop the run. UBC still up 4, but not out of the woods yet. A late misting there for Naomi Johnson on the line. Keep her cool. We'll see if it affects her at this point.
UBC just 2 points away from a spot in the quarterfinals and getting a game on Sunday at College Nationals.
Not the first time we've seen them advance. They were semifinalists last year, and last time we were here in Milwaukee, they also advanced to the semifinals. And this is a program that has seen a lot of success recently and even has a national championship to their name. UC San Diego also. And another stoppage in play. Waiting for resolution on this call. UC San Diego clawing back into this thing with a 3-goal run, but running out of time. We've seen a lot of calls in this game, but also some lengthy stoppages.
And I don't want to harp on this. We're at the college championships, but these delays should not take this long. The observers have to step in and ask players to either come to a decision or ask for a ruling. it should not take more than about 15 seconds. Disc going back to Diaz for UCSD.
Diaz, a ultimate rookie, if not a freshman. So a rookie for this UCSD team, despite being a sophomore, but has made a big impact for them and worked her way into the rotation with her athleticism. Now across the field to the break side and into the end zone, just like you draw it up.
Strong point, Elimelech at the goal. San Diego playing better here towards the end of the second half. Showing off some more smooth offense. And, of course, got the 2 breaks, but still a long road left to go if they want to get even here. We are just a few minutes from the cap. But it should be plenty of time for San Diego to push back into this one. And, of course, the game won't be capped at anything less than 15, given the current scoreline. A very, very quick first half and a bit of a grinding second half. To quickly check in on some scores, Oregon just closed it out over Tufts. They win 15-10, so they will advance to the quarterfinal. In the men's division, Georgia leading Texas 11-7. 10-10 in the Wisconsin-Minnesota men's game.
Now up ahead, Elimelech, huge bid, but just a bid. And now a wide open throw for Eleanor Young to Esther Au for a hold. A great opportunity gone unclaimed by UC San Diego.
Yeah, huge bid from Elimelech.
That's British Columbia 14.
And then just a
Cal San
classic.
Diego 10.
Au Young to Esther Au for the goal. UBC on the doorstep now of a spot at the quarterfinals.
And certainly not what you would have projected for UC San Diego after a tremendous year in which they lost only a handful of games, only to the best teams. And certainly when you come to nationals, not so surprising to take a couple losses, still losing to some of the best teams. I mean, Texas and UBC, the 6 and 7 seeds overall. So no shame in dropping games to them, but just not in line with the resume that the Psychos brought here to Milwaukee.
Yeah, and they just never really had it going this weekend. Never quite looked like the team that we saw earlier this year. But still a glimmer of hope. Cap is now on.
I mean, if they score here, it'll be the same score that it was in this previous game that UBC lost. They were up 14-11 in that one. So if UCSD scores, makes it 14-11, it's not impossible. That's all I'm saying. And that play looked almost like a play action. Kelly Iwamoto goes up the middle, draws 2 defenders who almost tackle her, and now it opens up the room for San Diego to jailbreak. Wide open Diaz in the red zone, in front of Elimelech, just outside the cone. Curl cut, easy money for Iwamoto.
Yeah, another really, really good O-point. They've figured out that zone, and they've attacked it well by using quick handler motion and getting some of those chisel cuts through, as you just pointed out. Iwamoto drawing 2. That makes it so much easier to get the disc moving back to the break side, and that's the 4th or 5th point here in the second half where we've watched them just carve that zone up.
I think that the way to think about zone offense in my mind is thinking about, much like I always compare it to when you're an isolated cutter, you either fake deep and come under, or fake under and go out. That's the general principle, right? Threaten one thing, force the defense to make a decision and commit to one, and then take whatever they give you. Zone is a lot of the same thing, only instead of out and in, it's around and through. And sometimes you add over to that as a third way to navigate a zone, but there you see how UCSD's ability to go through the zone then collapses it and allows them to go around. And Iwamoto's feint up the middle is a perfect example of that principle in action.
Colorado leading 13-8 over NC State. So they looking like they are in a good position to move forward. Georgia leading Texas in the men's division 12-7. It's 11-11 in Wisconsin, Minnesota. UNC up 13-9. Now it's 14-9. Just that score just came in, leading Michigan in the women's division. So lots of action still taking place. Washington in the men's division just closed it out over UMass 15-12.
They'll advance to play North Carolina in the men's division, and UBC will advance to play against Dartmouth in the women's division, closing out this pre-quarter and ending UCSD season.
Well, we got to make that the B ultimate play of the game. Nothing better than getting the game winner in an elimination game in order to make the bracket on Sunday. Quarterfinals appearance coming up for UBC. And, you know, given the way that they took the loss to UNC, didn't necessarily look that great doing it. For them to come charging back and get a win here against a really good UCSD team in a pretty commanding fashion has to make them feel good about going into the bracket. And you know what? Look, you know they're going to be the heavy underdog against Dartmouth, but you still got to play the game. And I think UBC's got to feel good about where their game is at right now.
UBC lost to Dartmouth in the semifinals last year. They'll get another shot at glory to upset Dartmouth and be the giant killers. Here they outperform the competition. You can do the same. Be Ultimate, our play of the game sponsor, the only company to offer the revolutionary end knit and end weave, outperforming the competition. Like them, you should choose to be better than ever. You can check them out at www.beultimate.com. That's the letter B, the letter E, and Ultimate, the sport we play.com. So that's going to wrap us up here for Saturday play in Milwaukee. UBC, the final score, UBC 15, UCSD 11. UBC is going on to the quarterfinals. For Charlie Eisenhood, I'm Keith Rayner. We will see you tomorrow for our final game of the season, a quarterfinal on Sunday.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor UltiWorld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An UltiWorld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.